what your thoughts on tax aspects, because obviously the falling oil and gas revenues that have been hit by the sanctions, but also India and China reducing their uptake, is forcing the Russian ministries to look around elsewhere. I've read something about value-added tax or VAT, but also a discussion of sort of just income tax or trying to find other ways to squeeze specific parts of the Russian population. What's your thoughts?
I'm glad you mentioned India and China buying less Russian oil. And then a couple months, remember, we had a conversation and it was just kind of in the works. And a lot of experts were saying, well, you know what? No, that's not going to happen. Just 2 months later, it is true. Both India and Russia are buying less Russian oil. India and China buying less Russian oil because of the direct sanctions of the USA against Rosneft and Lukoil. And Russian oil Urals is currently trading at 36 per barrel.
This is the Global Gambit.
The last question I had before I wanted to break down a little bit more about the State Duma passing of legislation for the economy, or the 26-28 budget, was just, what was your thoughts on the Sergey Lavrov? Sort of, he wasn't at the National Security Council meeting. Does that matter? The Western media obviously made it out to be like, oh, he's disappeared, and I made a video and there was a lot of reaction to that, but ultimately Lavrov isn't part of the Siloviki, right? Putin's inner circle, so he's not ever going to be part of the most intricate discussions. He's a great messenger boy or delivery boy of the state message, but he doesn't have that same intricate relationship with Putin as some of his internal circle do. Or do you disagree with that?
I disagree. I think that he has very intricate relationship with Putin. He's one of the most committed servants of Putin. They have very personal relationship. Lavrov has been serving for over 20 years. Putin and Lavrov have been through a lot together. Lavrov's been always loyal, incredibly loyal to Putin. And look what happened when the war started. He showed his loyalty because whatever opinion he had on Ukraine, he started selling everyone his boss's opinion. He didn't have any personal say in it. So I think that shows a lot. That tells us a lot. You are right that he does not possess the same amount of power in Russia as the Siloviki do. Therefore, he can't move things domestically in Russia. But he's hugely important to Vladimir Putin. He's one of those figures that are connected with Putinism, with Russia, with Putin, with Russia under Putin. He has been missing. I have noticed, obviously, and I also made a video about that. He's been missing. He missed quite a few important events. That Security Council, and I believe it happened on November 3rd, was not the biggest one. The last time we heard from Sergey Lavrov was 29th of October. Then obviously he was made heard. He was heard when he commented on Russia-USA meeting and Trump meeting Putin in Budapest, possibly. Okay, and another thing that he missed was, I believe it's happening right now, is G20 meeting. He is the head of the chief of Russian diplomacy. If not Putin, flies to attend G20 meeting, that must be Lavrov. That's his job. Russia's foreign minister. Well, not him, and his prolonged absence shows that something's not right in the kingdom of Denmark, right? Is it Denmark? So I'm sorry.
No, I get the quip. No, as I say, I made a video before I went to Morocco, and it was very popular with viewers because I think there was this hope, he's been ousted or he's been removed from he's not going anywhere. I was pretty confident he wasn't going anywhere, but it does show that the internal relations between Putin and some of his staff, maybe not specifically Lavrov, but basically not everything is okay at home. The Kremlin is definitely having a tough time, even if they are winning in Pokrovsk or having the momentum over Pokrovsk. Things are not great internally. I think that was the bottom line that, we can all agree on, that it's not exactly prime time.
I think that Lavrov's fate is up in the air. No, I agree with you.
Do you think
I think that Lavrov's fate is up in the air because he can be made the scapegoat And he's a very good figure for that. Or perhaps Putin decides to move forward as usual. Then Lavrov will be back and like as if nothing happened, as if he hadn't been missing for a month now. Okay, and the propaganda will be silent, and Russian people, they have very short memory. And forget about that, and just move forward. But this proves my position on Russia. The situation is so dire, there is no long-term plan. Things are unfolding right now, and it's a very tactical game. There's no strategy there. Okay, Putin is very nearsighted right now. He only sees and plans until the next step. And obviously the next step is this potential peace agreement negotiation with America, between Russia and Ukraine. So what happens after? I think Putin doesn't think about that and doesn't plan that far any longer. So anything can happen to Lavrov. If things go sour and this initiative will just fail again, then who knows? Lavrov could be made the scapegoat. I guess we'll see very soon.
All right. So the last sort of segment I wanted to do was just have your takes on the budget and tax bill increases that have been made for the next 3 years. For viewers, that's basically the State Duma have agreed on what the Russian government is going to spend on and how much. So, for example, the government expects to spend about $491 billion next year, and of that, revenue, of $491 billion and spending of about $548. So that's a deficit of about $47 billion. Of that, national security and defense is almost 40%. So $209 billion will be spent on the military alone, which, as we've discussed before, Konstantin, has no trickle-down effect. What I mean by that is that all that money being spent on tank, RPGs, munitions, drones, things that are going to be damaged or completely destroyed in the war, it's not going to benefit the long-term supply side of the economy. So what do you, I can go into it further, but have you read it? What are your thoughts initially? Take me through.
I'm keeping my eyes on the Russian budget. One of those things of a great interest to me. It defines how Russia is going to be operating economically and financially in the next year. This budget is for the following 3 years, but then forget about 27 and 28. We are concentrating on the 26 because I think it's going to be the detrimental year for Russia. This is all going to end in 2026, one way or another. But budget, actually nothing unusual for me, unexpected. Just as we started this conversation, I told you that Russian economy is very simple to explain. Russia is spending so much more than it's earning. And it's earning increasingly less, and it's spending increasingly more. It's been done for 3 years now, and this budget for 2026 just is another step in the same direction. Russia spends even more for not just on the military, but what it calls the security of the country. That's domestic security as well. Not just the tanks and missiles and ammo in Ukraine, but also the video surveillance of the citizens, the riot police, the federal police, things like that, the KGB. That's a big part of the budget, and it's growing. So they are expecting some unrest at least. Okay, so they're allocating some money for that. And you're right, Russia does not produce anything that adds value to the economy. It produces death, basically. They produce missiles to fly over to Ukraine and just blow up and kill as many Ukrainians as they can. That's what they're doing. Things are not going well. That's where we started. Economically, this is what I call the demise. When you spend increasingly more and you earn increasingly less, what are you going to do? And that moment has come. Who's going to cover? Who is going to cover that gap in your bank account? I mean, this is very simple and this is very crazy. Well, Russian government has one strategy to cover up the budget deficit, to patch up holes financially. That's printing money. And printing press has been red hot, okay? In just one day, they printed 1.5% of the entire GDP just a few days ago. That's what they're doing. I mean, Pyotr, you are highly educated expert on the economy. You know exactly what is going to follow. The hyperinflation, and it's like a big wave. It's going to just destroy everything in Russia, okay? On top of other things bad that are already happening. So they're printing money like crazy. And the latest I heard, it's not confirmed, but there are rumors, and you know what they say about rumors. Russia has currently a lot of reserves in gold. Physical gold, 2,300 metric tons. They started selling the gold. That's the only thing they have left. There's nothing more except for the printing press. They can print money. But again, this is not confirmed, but there are rumors. And they cannot sell gold in large quantities because it's sanctioned. Everyone is banned from buying Russian gold. So they can sell it in smaller quantities in a gray market, so to speak, with a discount. Okay, so that's something to watch. So Russian budget just shows us it doesn't bring us anything new. It shows us that the picture is bad and it's getting worse. It's going to be much, much worse in 2026. That's all.
That's interesting, actually. I'm just looking up here. The Moscow Times has reported that, they've started selling it. But also, I mean, correlation doesn't equal causation, but gold price has begun to dip also because of the US's federal shifts on interest rates or cut expectations fall. So, could we say that if the Russians are going to try to maybe not flood, but increase the availability of gold on the market, that could affect the overall price of it? That'd be interesting.
I don't think that's going to be a global grant. I don't think the Russians cannot sell much gold at the same time because it's sanctioned. It's going to be hush-hush. Yeah, it's hush-hush, Just like they're selling diamonds. Do you know how Russia is selling diamonds now? I have an inside information. I know for sure.
Give us the insider spiel.
That's one company in Russia. It's called Alrosa, okay? And it's huge. It's like De Beers, that Russian equivalent. And they cannot sell diamonds legally. So they fill up suitcase of diamonds and they send one person with guards, put them on the plane, they fly to Dubai and they sell to Indian buyers. And the Indians mix it with other diamonds. Of course they pay much less than market price. Russians sell at big discounts, obviously. But is this a normal trade? I don't think so. I think that same way they're going to be selling gold, more or less. Okay, and again, at big discount. So I don't think that's going to have huge impact on global gold prices, global gold market.
No, I don't think so either, but it's just interesting to note what the broader global market trends are doing around gold, given the hikes it's been seeing in the past few months, right? So also in the budget, lawmakers have been looking to highlight that they're funding more domestic programs, including 125 billion or something for family support measures, and also 623 million for charity foundations that assist soldiers fighting in Ukraine. So how much is this Russia really trying to plug the gap, in the sense of they're trying to put a band-aid on the issue without addressing the actual issues? What's your thoughts on the other sort of areas of priority that the government wants to spend on?
I know what they're doing. They're looking at every single item that requires state financing, and they're trying to cut costs as much as they can. Everything must go. And then on the other hand, they're trying to get as much money from Russian people and the companies as possible. They're tightening fiscal policy. There are new taxes, VAT, value-added tax.
Yeah.
Today, they just signed the law that starting January 1st, it goes by 10%, well, by 2%, but that's 10% increase of the tax from 20% to 22%. Then they increase new car sale utilization tax twice, December 1st and then January 1st. That nearly doubles cost of a brand new car sold in Russia starting December 1st. Really an avalanche of different fines, big and small, all kinds of fines. For example, now if you hit a pigeon with your car, you pay hefty fine. And if you hit a flock of pigeon, yes.
What? You
Pyotr,
serious?
welcome to Russia,
Yeah,
2025.
serious.
No. Listen, your reaction was perfect. You didn't believe me. You said, what? Yes, that is true. And then very few people know about that. But that's the reality of Russia. If you hit a pigeon, there's a new law that you pay, don't quote me, I don't remember, but a hefty fine. And if you hit a flock of pigeons with your car, 2 years in prison and a hefty fine. Okay. Yes, I know. And you know what? You are a very normal man. Your
What?
reaction is of a very normal person. Okay. Disbelief. And you're right. But this is what Russia is today. Your reaction is exactly right.
Well, I mean, in the UK equivalent, I'm just thinking of the equivalent. In the UK, you'll be severely reprimanded if you attack seagulls and also swans, because swans are protected by the crown. I think you'd be in prison for that. But pigeons, they're rats with wings in many people's eyes. Sorry, that's too funny to even sort
I
of...
have my own personal theory. I think that they're going to reestablish pigeon mail in Russia because Russian post mail, like post service, is not functioning
collapse.
well. So the next pigeon mail. So that's why they're trying to preserve pigeons.
The pigeon couriers are making a comeback, yeah. Or maybe they're just for food, right? The lack of food available, protein, that they need the pigeons.
I haven't thought
Although
of
they're
that
just
one.
full of
That's a
air,
good
right?
one.
Pigeons are not exactly big.
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
Oh boy.
Is it?
Our
What do we reckon,
conversations-
guys? Drop a comment
conversations
below.
are becoming
Actually, do we
quite
reckon this
something.
is? Do we reckon this is pigeon? Is this for nourishment or for mail delivery? Take your picks below. Drop a comment below which one, or maybe you've got a third option. What's another option? The pigeons.
Great.
You see, this is why we do
Great.
these monthly episodes, Konstantin. It's
Going back to the fines, that they're trying to come, well, they have come up with an avalanche of different fines. I cover some of them, the most crazy ones, in my Friday crazy news reviews updates that I do every week. So, and I covered the pigeon news, a few weeks back. I think a month back or so.
Pigeon news. Can you quote that? Can you put that on a T-shirt, please? I think I would buy that. We should start
Pigeon
selling
news.
merch on the
Excellent.
channels. We should collaborate on channel merch. I think everyone would love a T-shirt or hat or mug with that on it.
Cheers to that.
Yes, cheers to that. Yeah, well, cheers to that. I have a very regal British crown mask, but not quite a memorabilia mask mug yet.
That works.
Last question then. My last sort of question or theme I'd like to know is sort of what your thoughts are on the tax aspects, because obviously the falling oil and gas revenues that have been hit by the sanctions, but also India and China reducing their uptake is forcing the Russian ministries to look around elsewhere. I've read something about value-added tax or VAT, but also a discussion of sort of just income tax or trying to find other ways to squeeze specific parts of the Russian population. What's your thoughts?
I'm glad you mentioned India and China buying less Russian oil. I think no one would argue with us about that because it's a fact now. And then a couple months, remember, we had a conversation and it was just kind of in the works. And a lot of experts were saying, well, you know what? No, that's not going to happen. That's not true. That's just rumors. Well, just 2 months later, it is true. Both India and Russia are buying less Russian oil. India and China buying less Russian oil because of different factors, because of the direct sanctions of the USA against Rosneft and Lukoil, and Russian oil Urals is currently trading at $36 per barrel. Now, it costs to full cycle cost of Russian oil, including the oil field discovery, maintenance, transportation, all the taxes that Russian oil companies pay to the state, 37% full cost, and then they sell at 36. So not much money Russia is making on oil export any longer. So that, I think this is one of the reasons that perhaps the biggest reason why Putin all of a sudden started talking about peace in Ukraine. As soon as Russian oil dropped to $36 per barrel, all of a sudden peace on the horizon, or at least peace talks. Well, what can I say? This is it. This is another thing that I call demise, because Russia was earning much less from the export of fossil fuels. Now, well, it was earning less when the oil was being bought at 72, at 69, even at 59, now at 36. Not good.
No, it's not. So I guess my last question for our latest or November debrief, if you like, is what should we expect over the winter months? Are we going to see any significant shift in the economy because of this new peace plan? Or is it just going to be the same as usual for the time being, and then we'll see more shifts occur when the spring, summer appears?
No, we should. These are two questions. First is on the economy, second is on the politics and on the peace process. No one knows what is going to happen with this peace process, with the negotiations, because remember how much talk and hype was when Putin flew to Alaska. An incredible amount. The peace agreement will be signed, the ceasefire will be reached, immediate ceasefire right then at Alaska, the peace summit. No, what happened? Nothing. So this process is incredibly unpredictable. I don't know what will happen politically. I don't know whether there will be negotiations, or just like the last time, Putin will simply refuse to talk about it, or, well, I think he will be engaged in negotiations, because Russian oil is trading at 36. No, he has nowhere to go after that, just to print money out of thin air, which is not good. But I don't know what's going to happen, what would be the result. I guess we will see very soon, within a couple of weeks. Now, what I'm absolutely positive on is that Russian economy is landsliding, and there will be more and more signs of the demise, more and more signs of the failures of the utilities. Russians will be definitely eating less. They are eating less now, but this is a growing trend. By the way, this past week, 2 days ago, Russia's largest food supermarket chain, Lenta, has introduced anti-theft cages for most of its food. Now, if you go to Lenta, you will see everything locked up, because people steal. When we don't have enough money to spend on food, they want to eat, they would steal. Okay, so that's the fact. I expect things like that continue and grow. And this is going to be a very tough summer. Very tough winter for Russia, for Russian people. It's going to be a lot of shaking and moving inside Russia's political establishment. There will be scapegoats, first scapegoats defined. My bet, there will be someone from the economic bloc, either Elvira Nabiulina or Maxim Reshetnikov, perhaps, Anton Siluanov. Someone will be made a scapegoat, because someone will be needed to be blamed on this poor performance of Russian economy. And it's going to be growing instability. So that's what my forecast for the upcoming winter. Mark my words.
All right. Well, we'll just have to reconvene before Christmas, or maybe after Christmas, as we do, to discuss that.
Let's do one before Christmas and then after Christmas.
And then, oh my God, okay. Konstantin loves convening with us, guys. He just loves my questions, clearly, that much. But thank you, Konstantin. It's always a pleasure, and I look forward to touching base with you as well. Everyone do check out Konstantin if you haven't already. Do check out my channel if you're from Konstantin's. I do cover things, mainly Russia's foreign policy and its place in the world, as I call it. But as you can tell, we do in-depth economic dives, as well as on the state of Putin's mind and inner circle, and much more on that to come in 26. But Konstantin, thank you very much, and we'll see you all next time. Take care.
Thank you.